I'm really excited. I am going to Copenhagen, Stockholm, and Helsinki, and Amsterdam.
Amsterdam?
Yeah, we have an 8-hour layover in Amsterdam.
Well, Amsterdam.
Welcome to the Money Millhouse. My name is Bethany Bayless.
And I'm Ellie Kay.
It is a wonderful day to drink coffee in the winter.
In the Money Millhouse.
Do you ever have those times where you just want like a really big cup of coffee?
Yeah, usually the first thing in the morning. I mean, that's my biggest cup of coffee is right when I wake up to wake me up.
Well, not only that, but I'm literally talking about the size of your mug.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Because I had a teeny tiny mug and I'm like, you know what? This ain't going to do it. I need a bigger one that I can wrap my hands around and enjoy that true beauty.
But the only time I like a bigger mug is when I know I'm going to be able to drink all my coffee right away. Because I use so much cream, it would become cold in a bigger mug.
See, I don't have that problem.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
whatever.
So in the Money Millhouse today, we are so excited. We're going to be talking about giving back and philanthropy and the things that we can be doing to help those in our community. And in the Money Millhouse today, we have Jay Lucas, who is an incredible philanthropist. And we are so... Philanthropist?
He's a philanthropist.
That one too. And we're so excited to hear about what he's doing in this space and maybe what our listeners can get involved in the same way.
That's right.
But before we get to that, we do have...
And now it's time for Name That Coffee, the part of the show where Ellie and Bethany name that coffee.
And today's coffee of the day is Papua New Guinea Bebes A/X. That is the name of this coffee.
Really? So
yes.
What kind of coffee is that?
It is a light roast, and it's brewed by Velton's Coffee Roasting Company. Has a really nice picture of a tree on it. Mm-hmm. And the notes are caramel, chocolate, cherry, and apple.
You know, you tend to get those coffee blends
that have sweeter notes, but
yes.
I just want to be very clear. Like, this does not taste like an apple pie. Like, this tastes like coffee with a very light, like a light roast coffee.
Right. In fact, you have to be really in tune to the additional flavors to even recognize them.
Right. So when we say these are the flavors, we don't know. We don't know if it really tastes like that.
Oh,
you think it tastes
for yourself
like caramel.
You speak for yourself because I can detect every single note.
Okay,
of caramel and apple pie and cherry. I can detect that in here.
Well, okay, so this reminds me of a really quick story before we talk about it. So speaking of giving back, one of the ways we can give back is, when you have a parent and they have a birthday and you have them over to your house and you cook them a delicious meal and you make them a big chocolate cake.
Who would have done that recently?
I don't know. But I just want to give you a hint. I'm the child and she is the parent. And
yes.
This did happen recently. And it was funny because I put coffee in the cake.
It was so good.
And you thought you tasted coffee.
Of course, I did taste the coffee.
And I was like, I have no idea. This tastes like chocolate cake.
No, it had a slight mocha overtone.
Maybe you have like one of those super abilities that coffee companies look for when choosing to source out their coffee.
Right. And
I met someone like that.
Well, I can not only detect it and taste, but I can smell it. I have a super sniffer, so I can smell certain things that other people, my family member, can't smell. So,
well, I actually met
it's a blessing and a curse.
I'm sure it is, especially with 4 sons. Just saying. And I actually met someone who started off in the retail at a coffee shop in Chicago. She started off as a holiday seasonal worker.
Right.
She worked her way up because she had such an incredible palate and being able to taste the coffee notes.
Right.
She worked her way up to one of those people who travels around the world tasting coffee to pick out the coffee that they serve in their store.
That sounds like a dream job.
She ended up being the CEO. But I don't know any of these things. Whatever. It was a long time ago. Don't know what's happening with them today. Never really talked to them. But today in the Money Millhouse, we're going to talk about giving back and the things that you can be doing in your community to give back.
First of all, let's just jump in and talk about the benefits of giving and volunteering.
Yes, let's. Several recent studies have found that being generous increases our ability to cope with physical pain and symptoms of chronic diseases. You know what? I believe that.
I do too, because there are times when I have been in pain or I'm not feeling well or whatever, or maybe even like struggling with a little bit of depression in the winter months or something like that. And I have found that when I reach out beyond myself and start to focus on other people and the benefit of it, there's great joy in that.
Well, and I heard it said like this once, your energies and your focus is like a flashlight. So if you're shining that flashlight on yourself, like if you're in a dark room, you can't see anything else. But if you shine that flashlight in front of you and you put it off of yourself onto someone else, then that's where your focus and your energy goes. And you're not thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about what you're doing and what, is going right for you or wrong for you or whatever, but focusing on giving back. And it physically makes you feel better.
It really does. And it does other things, like it actually has been shown, these studies that we looked at, to decrease blood pressure. So people can get off of their high blood pressure meds in some cases by developing a real robust arm of volunteering and giving back. And it does other things too.
It like decreases stomach acid and cholesterol levels and increases immunoglobulin A, which one, I said that correctly, 2, which boosts our immune system, which it makes sense. I love it. I love all of this. I love what we're doing. And I think it's a really important thing that we need to focus on, because when you are healthy, it also means that your finances are healthy.
Right. Because there is an impact there. And you're going to spend less money on the doctor bills and in therapy and everything else.
Not only that, but you spend less money on retail therapy and,
exactly,
trying to make yourself feel better, maybe going out a lot or buying expensive things for yourself or whatever that is. That could be something that you don't focus on as much.
And it's not just about volunteering. Because I know that some of our listeners are saying, oh my gosh, I don't have time. I'm so stressed and overtasked as it is. But it's also about being kind. And being kind can do all of these same kinds of things too.
Well, and it reminds me of something that you and I have said before. And sometimes you can't give money, but you can always give, a good attitude or give a smile. So this one time you were at Starbucks in the airport and everyone is stressed out in the airport. I don't know about you, but that is a stress zone. And this one time there was just a busy Starbucks line and the barista was very in the weeds, lots of drinks going on, just, not having a good day. And you just look at her and you just smile. And she's like, what? And you're like, I'm just giving you this. A smile. And she smiled.
And she smiled and she laughed. And she actually made an excuse because she realized she was being rather grumpy to the previous 2 customers that were in the line in front of me.
Well, and I really want to get more into that when we come back. But in the meantime, we have in the Money Millhouse, Jay Lucas.
And he is an accomplished businessman, an author, a leader, and philanthropist. And he believes in the power of positivity.
And Jay is actively spreading his message through his best-selling book, American Sunshine, Rays of Hope and Opportunity.
And he is an example of service. He really believes in patriotism and community engagement as well. So he has an incredible background. He served as a state representative while still in college at Yale.
And then he earned his MBA from the Harvard Business School and his law degree from Harvard Law School.
He is the chairman and managing partner of the Lucas Group, and he is highly involved in a lot of initiatives that we're going to hear about. So we are excited to have him here very soon in the Money Millhouse.
You totally took my line. The new year is a great time for investing in our skills and learning new things. I, for one, am so excited about reading more books this year, and you might be too. In fact, we have a book page chock full of great resources we recommend here at the Money Millhouse. To find out more, visit themoneymillhouse.com/book reviews. Hi, Jay. Thanks so much for coming to the Money Millhouse. Can I get you something to drink?
Oh, I'd love a cup of coffee.
Oh, we have some good coffee today. How do you take it?
Just black, please.
Excellent. Here you go.
That's how Bethany takes it too. I take it with a lot of cream and sugar. But we are so glad to have you here today. And before you came into the Money Millhouse, we were telling everybody about everything that you've accomplished. And it's incredible your education, your business, and your philanthropy. Of everything that you've had the privilege of doing in your life, what would you say is the thing that you're the most proud of?
I got to tell you, I'm the most proud, and I think I find the most reward in some of the work that I've been doing recently, giving back. And in particular, I've been working with a wonderful organization called Children of Fallen Patriots. Our mission is a very specific mission. We're all about taking care of any child who loses a parent in active military service. We'll pay for their education all the way through college. So it's a wonderful organization.
Wow, that's incredible. And we know that that's so needed and that's so appreciated in the space where they need it the most. And you do a lot with them. Can you tell us a little bit more about the ways that you're able to do this, how people may get involved in that, and the specifics of how people are able to qualify for that?
Absolutely. And let me tell you a little bit about how I got involved in it. But even before I do that, just a couple of really important statistics and how it works. We literally will take care of any child who loses a parent while that parent's in military service. And what that means is that we'll pay for their education. And it's not only for a parent who is killed in combat, but it could be a training accident. It could even be suicide. From the child's perspective, it really doesn't matter. And we will pay for their tuition, their books, their computers, whatever it's going to take to make that child successful and get him or her ready to go out there in the world. So far, we've taken care of just over 1,150 kids, which is an amazing number. In fact, now here are a couple of statistics I'm really proud of. Now, we're a nonprofit, a 501c3, and for every dollar that comes into our organization, literally 98 cents out of every dollar actually goes to that child's education, which is a great number.
Well, that is a phenomenal number because so many of the nonprofits have a lot more money that is dedicated to fundraising and things like that. That is amazing that you've gotten that number down the way that you have. Please continue. Tell us more.
Oh, yeah. Well, in addition to that, you know how there are so many students coming out of college today who do so with all sorts of burdens with debt and the loans and so forth. Out of all those 1,150 kids that I mentioned, all of our students are now graduating debt-free. So they're going out into the world in just a great way. The way I got involved in the group is a friend of mine started it a number of years ago. He's a West Point grad, and he was in Panama fighting in the Noriega days, and one of his battalion mates was killed. That young man had a daughter that he never had a chance to meet, actually. And my friends, David Kim, along with his wife, Cynthia, founded the organization to take care of that one little girl. And since then, the organization has, flourished and taken care of so many, many others.
That is so incredible. And, my heart just breaks when I hear that story. And as a military family myself, we have seen that over and over. And it can be a really huge burden for those students, those children of the fallen to be able to go to school. And here you guys are, you're coming alongside them. You're helping them to be able to pay all of those bills and graduate debt free. And that is one less burden that they'll have to have. And so thank you so much for all the work that you're doing with that.
Well, the work that I and my wife Karen are doing is actually focused largely on our home state of New Hampshire. And I'll tell you how that all happened. David Kim, who founded this organization a number of years ago, had come to me because of a consulting firm. And one of the questions that they didn't know, actually, as an organization was just how many children are there in our country who've lost a parent in military service? Because there's really no way to track that. There's no database. I would have thought that there is, but given military privacy laws and rules, that just doesn't happen. So we put a team on it. And what we learned was really kind of astounding, actually. We learned that there are nearly 20,000 kids in our country who've lost a parent in the military.
Wow. Amazing
number. And so as we did this several years ago, my wife and I just got more and more involved in the organization as we got to meet some of it's almost always the mothers and the kids. And your heart just goes out to them, of course. And so I was having a conversation with David and said, it's such a great organization with such a wonderful mission, taking care of children and all about education. But generally speaking, not very many people have ever really heard of Children of Fallen Patriots. So I made the suggestion, and we made it our mission to use our home state of New Hampshire as kind of a beta site, if you will, to really drive the message deep, to raise money, to raise awareness, get grassroots support, and build kind of a best practice, a set of rules, if you will, so we can take that playbook out and roll it out across the country. And so we're in the process of doing that now. And as your initial question, it is so rewarding in getting to know these children, see them on their way, and be part of their success. So it's really a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. And it's so great that you're building this model, this model that can be replicated and taken around the country. And we're excited for that. We're excited for what you're doing. And our listeners, I'm sure, are just wanting to be able to get involved in some way, but they might not be able to necessarily give financially. But what's a way that every listener can give help to the Children of the Fallen service members, even without donating a dime?
Well, first of all, a great place to go to learn more about the organization. Simply go to fallenpatriots.org, fallenpatriots.org. If you want to learn about what we're doing in New Hampshire, go to New Hampshire Supports Fallen Patriots. And you can go to our Facebook page, New Hampshire Supports Fallen Patriots. And ways that you can give, it doesn't have to be financial. It would be wonderful if you know of a family that might qualify for this kind of an opportunity because they've lost someone in the military. We need to find those kids. It's one of our greatest challenges is sometimes finding the families, finding the children who would qualify. And literally the only criteria for qualifying is actually to have lost a parent in the military. And we will take care of their education all the way through college. I do want to add one thing, if I may, just on a personal note, which I'm very proud of, is that my son, who is in the U.S. Navy, just made his way over to Japan 2 weeks ago, just right after Christmas. And here's why I'm really proud of him. He graduated from Yale with a degree of economics, and I thought he'd go to Wall Street. But when he graduated, he surprised me in a good way, and he said, "Dad, what I really want to do is fly jets for the U.S. Navy." And so he went through officer candidate school, got his wings, got awarded the F-18, and landed in Iwakuni, Japan only several weeks ago. And I'm just so proud of him.
That is so exciting. And so you are a hero at home now. The name of our nonprofit's Heroes at Home. And that's based on the idea that we have the heroes and they go out and they wear the uniform, but putting on a uniform doesn't make you a hero, but wearing it with distinction and service before self and honor and integrity in all they do, that's what makes them a hero. But then they need the heroes at home. They need the parents and spouses and even children. And that helps support our heroes that are out. So thank you for being a hero at home. I have to tell you that my husband's a fighter pilot and my son now is a fighter pilot. So in our family, we have a dilemma of who the world's greatest fighter pilot is. But of course, you may have an opinion on that, Jay.
Well, I'm proud of them all. Anybody who serves in that kind of mission is just doing amazing work to protect our freedom. And my hats are off to them all. And the small things we do here domestically in support nowhere near measure up to the great sacrifices that they make.
Well, and we echo that. We have the same heart when it comes to this. And I want to just shift just slightly when it comes to just the idea of giving back. And so we were talking about that today. We were talking about giving our time, giving our resources that we're able to do. And I would really love for you to speak on this in the sense of you're really accomplished. You have a lot going on, and this is still a really big part for you in your life. And how can you do good while doing well at the same time? Can you tell us the difference between those and how you see it when it comes to being able to give back, but also make sure that you're in a good place so that you can give back?
Well, in my business and in my life, it all kind of merges together, if you will. I do a number of things in business that are all about trying to drive growth in companies. I have consulted. I've been a partner at Bain & Company, as you know, for earlier in my career. I have a number of brands that we own in the beauty and personal care business, which is a really fun business to be in. And what I find is that it all kind of works together because of those relationships that I have in business. I find a number of people who are also wanting to give back, but may not have the time, but they may have resources or relationships in other ways that can be really helpful. And I can merge that into some of these opportunities. And in addition to that, I also, beyond my work with the military and Children of Fallen Patriots, I'm doing another project, which is also really rewarding. And a number of listeners might identify with this. But I grew up in a small town in rural part of New Hampshire, a town of about 5,000 people that's named Newport, New Hampshire. And like so many other towns across the country, really, where many of the jobs have gone and the main street that used to be so perfect is somewhat vacant now. I'm involved in leading an initiative to revitalize that town. And we call it, by the way, the Newport Sunshine Initiative, because we're bringing the sunshine back to Newport, New Hampshire.
That is such a cool thing to be able to do that and to revitalize your hometown. What a great way to be able to give back to the place where you grew up. And you're going to get to see after this initiative, as it continues, you're going to be able to see the remnants that you remember as a kid and how great it was. And that is just a really cool thing to be able to do.
Well, and I just want to add a note on small towns. It's a little funny. I was talking to a friend and I was like, yeah, I come from kind of a small town in California. It's about 150,000 people because that's a really small town in California. And she was like, you haven't come from a small town unless there is no Walmart and there's a main street that is literally the main street. And I was like, oh, yeah. And so I love just the idea of a small town and everybody knows everybody's business and everybody knows what's going on. And so just restoring that to what it once was, I think is wonderful and it's amazing. And just, one of the final questions we have before we end is there a way that giving back, it can help us in the long run as well? Can you just speak a little bit to the importance of giving back and why we should do it? And maybe it'll help us in the long run after it's all said and done.
This is a real story that occurred within the last several months. But one of the programs that we initiated as part of this Newport Sunshine Initiative was all about teaching digital skills to young people and even older people in our community so that they might be able to live in this town that is rural, but be able to make good money, have great opportunities. And so working with some entrepreneurial digital firms, we put together a training program for 20 students in our hometown. And as part of that, we thought that all of the students would be high school students to learn things like web design and Java and coding and so forth. But it turns out that there aren't that many opportunities, good economic opportunities in town. So only 3 of the students were high school students. The rest were single moms and other people who really needed opportunities. In the context of that, I began to know some of those single moms and people who really didn't have great opportunities going forward and the tough lives that you have to bear if you're in a small town and there's just not really much there for you. So getting to know these people, getting to know their families, getting to know what their potential can be, just so rewarding as we kind of work them through this program and give them a bright future that they just wouldn't have otherwise. And that's, if you can carry that forward and put that in your heart as your reward, you're paid, many times over. And that's how I think about it.
And that's a fantastic way to look at it. And Jay, just thank you for making the world such a better place in your hometown, in your state, across the country, and around the world as you reach out in so many different ways to be able to help people. I mean, the world is a better place because your feet walked it. And because you have such a heart, you and your wife, to be able to help people in so many just proactive ways where you actually get in there and do it yourself. And so we've come to the end of our time. We thank you for joining us. For our listeners, we are going to link to all of the nonprofit organizations that Jay talked about. Remember that one of the ways that you can help without giving a dime is just connecting people with these nonprofits. If you know a family that has lost a loved one while in service, be sure and connect them with this project so those kids can graduate from college debt free. So thank you, Jay, for being with us today. And by the way, congratulations on having what you will probably say is the world's greatest fighter pilot as a son serving in our Navy.
Well, thank you very much. His name is Lincoln Lucas, and I'm very proud of him. And I thank you for the great work that you all are doing.
And thank you so much, Jay. And we'll be back here on the Money Millhouse. The Money Millhouse is a production of Heroes at Home. Heroes at Home is a nonprofit organization that provides financial education to military families. To find out more about or to donate to Heroes at Home, visit heroesathome.org. Well, I loved having Jay in just because just a refreshing perspective on giving back and why it's important and the incredible work that he's doing to help military families that, you and I haven't really talked to someone who does specifically what Jay does.
That's right.
And that organization.
That is right. And, he is high level in the financial industries, and a lot of work that he does has a lot of impact in the financial sectors. And this is a way he's having a great impact in the area of philanthropy and in communities.
Mm-hmm. And how are we able to do the same? So before we were talking about giving back, and it's good for your finances, it's good for your health, it's good for all these reasons. And we briefly mentioned what it's like being nice being kind.
Right.
There's a difference between nice and kind, but that is another episode.
Yeah.
But what does kind mean to you?
One of the things that I think about is that if I wake up in the morning and I think to myself, you know what, I'm going to try to really be others focused. I love what you said in the first segment about a flashlight, about how your light is shining out. That means it shines on them. And so when I do that intentionally and I wake up that way, it makes a big difference because I think most of us kind of think about ourselves. How do I feel? What am I going to eat? That kind of focus. What am I going to do? What am I going to accomplish today rather than looking at others.
And just as a side note, that came from Marie Forleo, not me. So I just want to give credit and attribution where it's due to such a queen and goddess.
Well, that is cool. And let me give you an example of that, of what I was talking about. So one morning I woke up and I thought, okay, I'm going to be others focused. And so I went to this activity at the Quartz Hill Library. And afterwards, by the time the thing was out, all the kids had been released from the local elementary school. And my first thought was a little bit grumpy, like, oh my goodness, they're playing football right here on the sidewalk. I'm going to have to dodge all that.
Kids.
I hope they don't
Get out of my way.
I hope they don't hit me and all of that. But then I remembered what I decided that morning, that I was going to be focused out. And sure enough, like a little 7 or 8 year old, this 7 or 8 year old had an incredible arm. I mean, he was throwing a great football. And he hands it to this little 5-year-old who throws a lousy football. I mean, it barely went like 2 feet. But the reaction of the older boy was to pat him on the back. And they weren't related. They were a different race. I mean, they were not related. And he patted him on the back and he said, good job. And I saw that happen. So then when I walked by the older boy, I looked at him and I said, I saw what you just did. You were so kind to that other boy. And I think that is a good thing. You are a nice and kind boy. And he looked at me like a little afraid because, the stranger
an adult
talking
woman
to him.
speaking to me.
But then he smiled really big.
Well, and I think it's really important to note here. And sometimes we have to do gut checks and motive checks. I know I do frequently. I am really learning that about myself of why am I being kind? Is it so that people will see it? Or is it because, for us, we have a different motivation. It's to bring glory to God in heaven, but also why are you doing this? And it's really important to note that being kind and being nice and good with no expectations or reciprocity of personal gain is very important. So if, you're doing it so that people will think that you're nice, is it really?
Well, that's obviously you and I don't judge people and we don't look at their hearts. But when we look at ourselves, we think, you know what? We want to do the right things for the right reason and trust God with the results.
Exactly. And so what are some ways that we can be kind to other people? And, if we spread this message and this, it can be infectious of getting out there and making this world, which is very complicated and very just
harsh.
Lots of things
it's
going
harsh
on.
At times.
And it's a hard, we're living in times that are very uncertain and
they're uncivil at times, especially when we look at politics and what's going on in the world. It's just the opposite of being kind.
Exactly. So what can we do? And this doesn't mean giving money necessarily.
No.
Is all things that are free. Being kind is free. And a few examples is letting someone cut ahead of you in line. That can be nice because I sometimes are like, you better not touch me or my line. This
Yeah,
is
but
my
how
line.
about like at a 4-way stop? I mean, that's a way of letting people go.
That can also be a way of not good traffic laws. So making sure, I mean,
Yes.
there's that. But I mean, or letting, sometimes when I'm on the freeway in Southern California, I will leave a space for someone to merge in front of me to be nice.
And that's
now,
a
if
great
the car
gift.
behind them tries
Yeah.
to also get in, then I don't let them in because they're taking advantage of the system, and that irks me. But another thing that you could do is listen to someone who needs an ear, you know?
And you're really good at that, Bethany.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're the kind of person, I don't know what your Enneagram is or anything, but you're the kind of person that all of a sudden you find that people are just telling you their life story because you're very empathetic. And sometimes people just need to be able to talk, and you're really good at that.
Well, I appreciate that, Mother. Thank you. What are some other ways that people...
It's what I just did. One of the other ways you can do it is to give a compliment that you really mean.
Stop it, really?
Well, I really mean that. And
And
here's something else I do, Bethany. So when I wake up in the morning and I want to be others focused, one of the things that I try to do is I will say, God, give me a way to be able to encourage. And I think of different people, that I'm going to meet throughout the day. And it's like, give me a genuine way to be able to encourage them. And I particularly do that with people that I don't know, like our guest Jay just did. I mean, how do you encourage a man that kind of has everything, that's done everything, that's so accomplished? Well, I encouraged him in a way of just commending the way he's making the world a better place. And so we can wake up and we can think of specific ways or pray for direction in the compliments that we give other people.
I mean, all of this, let us know what you think. Please do us a favor. Be nice to us.
Yes.
One thing that you can do to be nice to us is to go leave a nice review on our Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast. Leave us a review. That's something that you can actually do today. That will really help us. But really, when it comes to just us doing this podcast, any encouragement really helps. And we appreciate all the engagement that we see with our listeners. Let us know that you're listening. Let us know that you're out there. If you have any questions for us, shoot us an email. Go to our website, themoneymillhouse.com. There's a contact page, or you can shoot me an email. What email should I give them?
You can give them assistant@lek.com.
Sure. Let's give you assistant, ASSISTANT, at lek.com. Shoot us an email if you have any questions, comments, concerns. But also, I want to just point out a generational difference here.
Really?
Because multiple times in this podcast, you've said, when I wake up in the morning, and every single time, all I can think of is when I wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy, which is a song from my generation.
Oh my gosh, that was not on my radar.
And every single time I giggle because I'm like, when I wake up, it's from TikTok Kesha.
Okay.
And it's so funny because that's all I can think of. And now I'm going to have it stuck in my head all day. We've had an amazing time with you. Be kind to one another, as Ellen says. We hope that you today can find a way to give, whether it's financially or with love, being kind, doing small things here and there to strangers, but also to your family. And we're excited for next week and the podcasts that we have.
Yes, so please be sure and follow us, follow our podcast, look for our Facebook Lives. We want to engage with you real time on those.
And we have an Instagram page.
And follow us on our Instagram.
That have nuggets of wisdom and fun. All right, and we'll see you next time on the Money Millhouse. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today at the Money Millhouse with your hosts, LEK and Bethany Bayless. Thank you to our producer and editor and taskmaster, Darby Masters. And thank you to our guest, Jay Lucas from the Lucas Group. We love that you listen to the Money Millhouse. And if you want to show us some love, we've partnered with some awesome companies to bring you resources that will help you, whether that's buying a house, starting an investment account, or spending wisely at Amazon. Find out more, visit our partnerships page at themoneymillhouse.com/partnerships. And for your weekly thought of the day, a successful man is one who can lay a firm foundation with the bricks others have thrown at him, from David Brinkley. We'll see you next time on the Money Millhouse.